production of Swan Song is supported by viewers like you. Thank you. D's Garage21 Koubo game Tane Maku Tori was released on December 22nd, 1999, and it might seem like a pretty basic puzzle game. Totally is, but it's also an artifact of early 2000s Japanese pop culture. It was developed by Ludic and published by Bandai. D's Garage21 was a weekly late-night variety show that aired on TV Asahi from April of 1999 to March of 2001. The show would showcase works from new creators embracing digital media at the turn of the century, focusing on three major categories: computer graphics, manga, and game design. Unlike similar shows on this side of the pond, like CBC's Z or Tech TV's Eye Drops, the primary goal of the show was to facilitate discovery and open professional opportunities for amateurs in the space. Every few months, the show would announce new themes for each of those three categories and gather up submissions from viewers, showcasing a handful of them every week. Game-related submissions were expected to be game design documents, and occasionally the show would shop these around to big-name publishers. The very first theme announced for the game design portion of the show was puzzle games, receiving a total of 352 design documents in the month submissions were open. These were taken around to publishers such as Sega and Enix, but ultimately only Bandai saw something that piqued their interest, and that's how we wound up with Tane Maku Tori, which translates to the bird who scatters seeds. Tane Maku Tori was originally pitched under the name Water Drop by Suzuki Tsunesa, a 38-year-old salaryman from Kanagawa Prefecture. Over the 7 months between the winner being announced on the show and the release of the game, it was possible to follow his journey through the world of game development. First, he met with Bandai and familiarized himself with the WonderSwan hardware. Then he met the team at Ludic, a small development studio responsible for Famicom ports of some Taito games, which would be handling the development of his game. Contributors with star power were brought on board to the project as well, such as Takashima Keiichi, who wrote the story, Umebayashi Shigeru, which composed the opening and ending themes, and Toda Shoko, which was a manga artist having her professional career blossom in real time on D's Garage21, who was commissioned for the box art of the game. Over a few meetings, the original design document was tinkered with to have story, characters, and the gameplay was tweaked with specific consideration for the WonderSwan hardware. Primarily that it could be played in vertical orientation, which was unique at the time, and that the game's art needed to be readable on its less than ideal display in a variety of lighting conditions. Seeds and plants at the bottom of the screen must be watered, and this can be accomplished by successfully navigating drops of water from the top of the screen to the bottom via a ladder climbing game based on the popular Japanese Amidakuji. The playfield consists of 3 vertical lines, which can be connected by horizontal rungs like a ladder. Water droplets fall onto the vertical lines and travel from left to right when they come into contact with one of those horizontal rungs. As the player, you can manipulate the rungs on any of these ladders up or down so that the water makes it to the plant needing to be watered. There are also additional mechanics. If drops of water collide, they can get bigger. Bigger drops can wash away insects which act as obstacles that absorb droplets on the playfield, and also speed up the growth of your plants if they make it all the way down. You can also speed up the gameplay by holding down a button if you've got the arrangement just right and you want it to play out more quickly. Each level in the main mode gives you a time limit to make the flowers blossom at the bottom of the screen. Eventually, bugs become an actual threat to your plants as they can creep down to the bottom of your screen and eat your plants. If you don't manage to wipe them out in time, it'll be game over for you no matter what your timer looks like. The story of the game is that there's a lonely crow, and he wishes that he could be surrounded by beautiful flowers that would be his friends and keep him company. That crow is the one who drops the seeds needing to be watered at the bottom of the screen at the start of each level, and therefore you're kind of helping the crow be less depressed. It's simple, but it's cute, and it gets the job done. There are 2 single-player modes, Story and Endless, as well as a multiplayer mode for use with the link cable. Endless gives you a choice of 3 difficulty settings. I found the story mode to have a pretty steep difficulty curve. Very quickly, you'll have to manage watering multiple plants at once while trying to wipe out multiple bugs at once to ensure your survival. My gameplay throughout this video is far from ideal, and I'm absolutely terrible at these kinds of games, and it overwhelmed me very quickly. I think the Japanese audience that this game was designed for would have a much better head start on this than a lot of Westerners trying out the game because of their existing familiarity with Amidakuji, whereas I can't say I've put much thought into it before. The show gives us a bit of visibility into how short the timeline for this game really was. These Garage21 opened entries for their puzzle game design docs in April when the show began and closed them a month later, as they were actively pitching them to publishers. By the end of May, the creator of the design document Bandai had decided on was announced on the show, and by the end of October, the game had gone out to manufacturing. That's a 5-month turnaround at best, so it's only natural that the game wound up as limited in scope as it did given the constraints. Given what it was, the game got a rather surprising marketing push. A big onstage show was held during Tokyo Game Show 1999 featuring the host of D's Garage21, and naturally there were frequent TV commercials for the game as well. They had a marketing campaign going with the rental shop Tsutaya where you could rent a WonderSwan unit and a copy of Tane Maku Tori for free, originally for 4 days and later for up to 1 week. They wanted this to be a big deal, and while I can't say the game left much of an impression on the gaming world itself, it definitely helped legitimize D's Garage21 as a platform that created new opportunities for amateur creators in the field. This wouldn't be the last game that they'd be involved with on the WonderSwan either, as the show was heavily involved in the early 2000s cross-media push of the Another Heaven franchise, which would get its own WonderSwan game in December of 2000. But that is a different story for another day.